welcome to episode 4 of the SeaJaneKnits podcast. And like the other episodes, my goal is to share with you some projects and some yarn that hopefully will inspire you to try something new, whether it's a new yarn, a new pattern, or a new technique. So hopefully you enjoy these projects and you're kind of snuggled up with your own knitting and have a little bit of time to spend with me. So I thank you for tuning in, and if you're a returning viewer, then that's even better. So if you enjoy the podcast, make sure that you subscribe. There's a subscribe button down below, and you can keep up to date on all the new episodes coming out. So take a deep breath, I guess. This week has been crazy like it always is, but I have gotten quite a bit of knitting done. This past weekend, we went to visit my parents and my brother and my grandma, and that was great to spend some time with them and get caught up with them. And then on Sunday, we just had a nice, relaxing day around the house. Got a few things done, but for the most part, just kind of snuggled up and enjoyed each other's company, and it was great. So between the travel and the kind of downtime this past weekend, I did get quite a bit of knitting done. I wish I could say that I had more done, but, that'll always be the case. So I might as well just be happy with what I have accomplished, right? So socks. It's Socktober, as I talked about last week. The whole month of October is Socktober. So if you follow me on Instagram or any other knitting related account, you have probably seen all the Socktober posts. And hopefully that's inspired you to get either those unfinished projects out or to cast on a new sock. It's a great way to use some of that gorgeous sock yarn that's out there, especially with all the awesome indie dyers. So obviously behind me, I have one of my Regia socks, and I really haven't worked on the other one since the last podcast. So I'm still kind of at that, I don't know, what did I say last week? Hopefully 3 inches in. So I've not gotten very far on it, but I'm using kind of my play on Susan B. Anderson's How I Make My Socks. They're knit cuff down with the ribbing, then you do a slip stitch heel and your gusset, and then your decreases for your toe. So really simple, really easy. I let the sock yarn do the work for me. So this is some of the Arne and Carlos line through Regia. So it keeps it exciting and interesting, and just to see as the colors change. So I'll just hang it up back here. Not too much to say about that, because like I said, I didn't get much at all done on that. Actually, one thing I do want to share before I show you my next project, I ordered some Tuft Woolens. This is her sock soap, and it's the vanilla almond, and it smells so good. Oh, it smells so good. I wish you guys could smell it. But this is, like I said, it's sock soap. But she does bar soap, which I haven't tried. This is actually my first in trying this, but I've heard so many rave reviews about it that I did want to try it. But I put that inside of my Nomadic Yarns Christmas sock cube here, and it just, anytime I open it to take my socks out, I get a whiff of it, and it just smells so good. So the sock that I have been working on is my Hermiones Everyday Sock, and I've gotten quite a bit of progress on this one. Still not as much as I'd wanted, but you know, I turn the heel, and this yarn is just amazing. So this is a free pattern on Ravelry, Hermiones Everyday Socks. So you do 1 by 1 rib, and then there's this 4 row pattern that you follow down to your cuff. Cuff is a modified eye of partridge heel. Turn it, do your gusset, knit down. Once you get to the foot, the bottom stitches are in stockinette, which is still pretty in the Hedgehog Fibers, but I absolutely love it in this stitch pattern. I don't know what it is, but I think it just makes the colors, the little speckles of colors pop out. And it's still pretty in the stockinette, but man, in that textured stitch, it's just gorgeous. So following straight from the pattern, 64 stitches, going along exactly like the pattern tells me. I've not done, I don't know if you saw on the heel, there's this garter ridge right here. So you do some garter rows, and I really liked that for picking up the stitches. It made it really easy to kind of see your spacing and where you're supposed to pick up. So I might try that even on my next pair of socks, even if I don't do the stitch pattern that we have here. But yeah, so these are going along well. I've got probably a couple more inches to go and then decrease for the toe. So I'll have one done here pretty soon. And oh, this lotion I ordered, I don't know if you can see it. I ordered it last week. I actually ordered it off of Amazon, and it smells so good. It's just a real light lavender scent, and I'm gonna put some on it right now because my hands are dry. It's getting to be that time of year where with the heat on, and I don't know about you, but I definitely do some extra hand washing once we start, you know, kids are back at school, and I kind of feel like there's those extra germs in the house. So definitely do some extra hand washing and need that extra lotion. So I have that thrown in my, this is a Tanis Knits bag, and she has an Etsy shop. She is an amazing designer and a super sweet person with a polka dotted lining. Oh, it's so cute. So anyway, it's kind of a summery bag, but kind of like my my Christmas one back there. I use it year round. So so this is this yarn that I'm using for these socks. I shared it last time. It's the Hedgehog Fibers Sock yarn in the Monarch colorway, and I think it's just beautiful with those pinks and yellows and some of the real dark charcoal gray, almost black. Really pretty. Really pretty. And I have another bar of the Tuft Woolens. This is in the red currant and mandarin. It's the sock soap. And her packaging is so cute. And then there, she's got instructions on the back. So I just threw this in this bag too. My order, so I ordered those 2 bars, and it came with a sample that I also ordered one of the soap blocks, the cedarwood soap blocks, to put it on to keep it from kind of getting, you know how when you use bar soap it kind of gets gunky on the bottom. Well, this has slats in it to let it drain, and that way I think the soap will last longer. But she also has those on her website, and my order came with a little sample of the spiced pear sock soap, which smells really good, and I kind of wish that I'd ordered a bar of that too in her latest update. So that's what I have, you know, over that I've been using, and trying to use that little sample up first, and then I'll kind of break into these bars here once I was trying to see if I had her business card. I know the order came with one, but it doesn't look like I have it in here. This bag it's fairly big, but it's great to put a small project in. I've got my, as far as notions in here, besides my sock soap and my hand lotion, I've got my my local knit shop, my Knitter's Nook tape measure, which I have a handful of these, basically one for every project bag, and it's great. And then what you probably hear rattling over here, I repurposed. I absolutely love the candy cane flavored chapstick at Christmas time. And last Christmas, I think it was last Christmas, maybe the year before, my local Target had a bunch of it on clearance. And so I bought probably 3 tins worth, which have 3 chapsticks in it, and I repurposed the tins. So you can see it's got stitch markers and things to put on the ends of your needle. I've got one of my jewel clips in here, a tapestry needle, a little key for my interchangeable needles. So anyway, I have kind of a repurposed tin here, which is perfect. And so I throw that in my bag. So yeah, so that's my my Hedgehog Fibers sock, the Hermiones Everyday Sock, which is such a fun pattern. I don't know why I've not done it before, but definitely recommend it if you're thinking about, you know, what can I do with this one skein of sock yarn that I have. It's perfect, especially even for that variegated, because you saw how the colors popped out on it. So the project that I've been working pretty hot and heavy on is my cracked pepper sweater, which is a pattern by Alicia Plummer. And I'm knitting it in some Color Adventures yarn. So it's in this gorgeous tweed, kind of charcoal gray tweed. It's just beautiful. And so I've gotten, it's a, like I said, it's a cardigan, and it's a raglan shaping. So I've gotten the body done and my ribbing down at the bottom. And you pick up and knit this ribbed collar that you then fold over and seam. And so I made that collar a little bit higher than what the pattern called for. I've got one side of the button band done, and then I'm working on the other one where the buttonholes are. So it's really fun, and I really hope to wear it soon. As long as I don't get caught on Sleeve Island here with finishing my sweater, then I should be done within the next week or so. I made this little gnome project keeper where it kind of, or progress keeper, which keeps track of where I'm at in my pattern, and I thought it was kind of a cute thing. So I've seen these on different Instagram feeds, so you can see it's hard to get his face. I don't know if it's because it's white, but yeah. So just super cute, just a fun little thing. So I think I'll make some more of those just as the seasons are changing here. So that's mostly what I've been working on, and I'm really excited to get that finished. I have these, I need to decide pretty soon, especially since I'm doing the band with the buttonholes. I need to decide how many buttons I'm going to put on it, but I got these at my local yarn shop, Knitter's Nook, Columbus. I thought they were really classic and going along with the gray tweed. It's just a real classic sweater. Most of Alicia's designs are that way, which I think are awesome. So, so I've got 11. I think I purchased 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, 11 buttons. So I need to figure out what my spacing is going to be so I can mark that, so I know where to start my buttonholes. So I need to do that pretty soon, but that's a really fun project. Hopefully, no promises, but definitely either the next podcast or the one after that, I will be wearing it. Um, it has been today, this morning, I think is probably the coolest morning that we've had so far this fall, and it just felt really good to be able to pull out sweaters and boots, and the kids weren't too happy about having to wear a jacket this morning or a hood or a hat, but they'll be fine. They just have to get used to it. So it's the perfect time of year. This afternoon's been really sunny and nice. It's my favorite time of year. Fall, I think, is the best season that we have. I love, I think I mentioned I live in Indiana, and I live out in the country. There's so much farmland around here, and it's neat to see, all the farmers out harvesting, and, they're really what keep our country going, all the farmers and just the hard work that they put into it. So, I'm really proud to be able to live out here and feel anyway like I'm a little bit of a part of that. So, so fall the weather has just been gorgeous. So hopefully it stays this way through the weekend, and, we can kind of get out as a family and do some stuff. I'm not sure that we'll go to the pumpkin patch this weekend, but probably next weekend. My son's in kindergarten, and they have a pumpkin patch field trip next week. So my daughter's been asking, when are we going to go? I want to go too. So we'll need to do that pretty soon. So that'll be fun, and as long as the weather holds out, especially if it's sunny like it is this afternoon, it'll be perfect. So kind of speaking of kids, if you follow me on Instagram, you saw that late last week or this weekend, I had the kids' new winter coats out, and I went stash diving to try to find some yarn to knit them some new hats and mittens. And I think I found some pretty good color combinations. So for my daughter, her coat is pretty much all pink, and kind of a bright pink but not neon, and it has a gray lining. So this is actually one skein of Tosh DK that I had actually started knitting something with it and decided to rip it out, and went ahead and skeined up the yarn again. So I don't know where the tag is, so I can't remember what the color is of this, but I am obsessed with the yarn, speckled yarn. So you saw in the Hedgehog Fibers, Tosh has some amazing speckled yarn too. So between this color and then I don't know how to get the purple to show. That's probably better on its side. So, and between this is Malabrigo in, I don't remember what the colorway is. I have a ton of this. You would think I should know by now, but so between these two, I think we'll get, and this is a worsted. The Malabrigo is a worsted, so I'll get hat and some mittens out of that. And she's asking me when I'm going to cast that on and is excited about it, so I better get to it pretty soon. And then for my son, his coat has a neon yellow green lining that matches this colorway almost exactly. This is the Uncommon Thread Lush Worsted. I had bought this when I had to go to the UK for work this past spring, and while I was there, we took my coworker and I took a trip to London, and I got to go to Loops, which is a really cool store. The fibers that they carry in there are just awesome. So this is in the I don't know, I can't read the colorway, sorry. But I bought some of this with some charcoal gray of the lush worsted and thought that I would knit a shawl or something out of it. I haven't gotten to it, so I figured, hey, if I'm going to use a little bit of it for his hat and mittens, it'll be just fine, and I'll figure out what to do with the rest of it. So between this, some Malabrigo Rios and kind of a charcoal gray, and then this Malabrigo Rios in, it's kind of a mess of a skein, and this tealy kind of blue. So his coat is kind of the same tealy blue colorway, and it's got a charcoal gray kind of front on it. So I think between these three, it'll be perfect. And score, I don't have to buy any yarn, and I can use up some of the bits that I have already. So also, if you follow me on Instagram, you may have seen that I tried my handiwork at making kind of one of those box totes. And so I had bought this really cute fox cotton fabric, and I thought it would be really cute with the orange zipper. And so this tutorial I found, it's actually a YouTube tutorial, and I think she has a PDF as well on her blog, but Melanie Ham, and I linked her in my post on Instagram. But kind of like I do in this sock cube, I like to kind of fold down the edges, and then you can see the size. I mean, I've got 3 skeins of worsted weight yarn, mostly full skeins in there, so it's a pretty decent size. And her tutorial was great, very easy to follow. So, you know, I've already, I think at least one person has commented on that post saying, hey, can you make me one? So obviously they'd make great Christmas gifts if you like to sew. It might be something fairly quick. I mean, I did this, it was my first one to make, and I did this in one evening. So I'm sure my next ones will be much faster to make. But so anyway, so I thought that was pretty fun. And I've got some of the yarn for the kids' hats and gloves in there. So definitely be making more of those, both for gifts and probably for myself as well. Kind of to go along with the sweater theme and the fact that it's chilly here, I wish I could say that I made my sweater I have on today, but I didn't. It's store-bought, but I love this kind of basket weave pattern, and we'll be probably looking for a pattern on Ravelry of something that I can do, at least that would have a front in this pattern, and the rest we stock and knit. I'm not sure I really want to knit a whole sweater out of it, but I do love this one. So I have pulled out some of my sweaters that I've knit in the past year or so, just because it's been cool enough to wear them, so, and I love to wear them, so I might as well. The first one that I have here in this pattern is very quick and a lot of fun to knit. It's the Antros. Did I say on it right? Antros by Shannon Cook. You start with this kind of yoke top, and then you do the body, which is a raglan that has this kind of chevron pattern panel down the front of it. Other than that, it's just your garter stitch hem and both at the cuffs as well as the bottom of the sweater. So this one was really fun. It's knit in Malabrigo Rios, which is a worsted weight superwash merino, and it was a very quick knit. I will say I was surprised by how much the yarn stretched when I blocked it out. I tried to be really ginger with it and not pull on it, not tug on it, not let it hang, and it still stretched out quite a bit. So I think if I were to knit another one of these, I would definitely go down a size and have it be just a little more fitted, because it stretched out not only lengthwise as you would expect with especially with the superwash yarn, but it also stretched out widthwise, and I kind of wanted it to be not fitted, but just have a little more shape to it. So, Shannon Cook's designs are amazing. If you haven't checked her out, you definitely should. Go to Ravelry. There's a ton of patterns out there and so well written. This pattern was one that, as far as sizing, you actually picked your size, and then from the chart you filled in your pattern as to what how many stitches you were going to cast on, or how many rows you were going to do, and that kind of thing. So you had to kind of transfer her instructions from the chart depending upon your size to the pattern, and that was okay. It made the pattern a lot easier to follow along instead of having all the numbers right there. I had to fill them in. That was totally fine. So just kind of, whatever your personal preference is. I've not knit any of her other sweater patterns, so I'm not sure if that's what she normally does, but just kind of FYI. And she has a book, which I meant to bring it down with me, but there's a book called Seasonless, and it's actually a mini collection, and there is a pattern in there called Schwimmen Hat, and it is so cute. It's a little bit lacy, slouchy hat, and I think that's probably maybe not my next hat for myself, because I still have a plucky pattern. I have one of their hats that I want to make, but definitely one that I want to knit, and the book is one of those that the photography is beautiful, the way the book's laid out is just amazing. So if you get an opportunity to check it out, you definitely should. Hopefully if you have a local yarn shop, hopefully they carry it. I think it's one of the Never Not Knitting Press books that Never Not Knitting Press distributes. So the next sweater, this one kind of has a sad story with it. This is my Lila sweater by Carrie Hoge. It looks awful in that light. I'll link to my pattern page below. But this one's knit bottom up, and you kind of do some short rows to give it that, if you can see how the hemline is different, the hemline in the back is lower. It really looks awful in this light. I promise it doesn't look that bad in person, but it kind of goes along with the story. So this has become a sweater that I just wear around the house. It originally was a very gorgeous shade of yellow. I knit it in shepherd's wool, which is a worsted weight, 100% wool. I think it's actually spun in Michigan, and so that's kind of cool that it's a U.S. yarn, not local to me, but a U.S. yarn. And the colorway I knitted in is a sun yellow, which is a really pretty kind of goldy yellow color. Loved it. I love really love having a yellow sweater for some reason. I just love the color. It you know, especially if it's a dreary day, it kind of brightens your day. And unfortunately, the last time that I soaked it with another knitted item, which had been soaked before, and I didn't really think anything about it. Threw them all in together in cold water. So I don't know what happened, but the other knitted item bled on the sweater. And so I tried everything to get it out and couldn't. So it actually ended up looking, because it was kind of right here on the sweater, and so it looked like I don't know, sweated Smurf blue or something. But so I decided I was going to over dye it, which I was kind of hesitant to do because with yellow, I wasn't sure what colors to put with it that wouldn't make it look like a real nasty, muddy brown color. So I added some kind of I think it's called Caribbean blue dye, the colorway anyway. And so if I hold it back here, it ended up being kind of this evergreen color, which is fine. And it looks okay on. You can still see some of the lighter spots that shine through. I did notice that you can see that lighter spot right there. So it didn't quite get all even, but with it being 100% wool, I didn't want to move it around too much in the water and risk felting it. So anyway, I'll just have to knit another one, I guess, if I want one to wear outside of the house. But it's been a great piece for layering, you know, on these cool mornings if I want to, you know, do stuff outside and stay warm and wear some hand knits. So that's the Lila sweater, and it's a pattern by Carrie Hoge. If you're not familiar with her, she has some amazing garment patterns, and her photography, which I think she is actually the photographer. Her photography is amazing. I mean, just so gorgeous. You know, you can look through the books whether you're going to knit the items or not and just appreciate that. So when this sweater was still yellow, I knit the little mini version for Caitlin, and this is called I think it's Lili, Li-Li pattern. So you can see it's just a mini version of the Lila sweater, and she absolutely loves this. I knit this in yarns of Rhichard Devrieze, his Superwash Merino, which is a worsted weight, and just the colorway on this is just so pretty. I don't think I even alternated skeins. Again, it's knit in the same construction where it's bottom up. Raglan, you do the short rows for the hem, and you have the garter at the hem as well as the cuffs of the sleeve and the neckline. So so that's fun to have her wear something that I've made and love it and want to keep wearing it. I guess kind of going back to, because I did want to mention Carrie Hoge's patterns. Like I said, her photography is amazing. This Lila sweater, she has a fingering weight version. The one I knit is the worsted weight version. She has a fingering weight version and a bulky version. And the bulky version I would love to knit. I don't currently have any yarn in my stash that would be enough to do it. So I'm kind of holding out and working on some other stuff right now. But her pattern page on Ravelry for it's called Lila Winter, uses the Quince & Co. Puffin yarn, which I would love to work with. So maybe someday I'll buy a sweater's quantity of that and cast that one on, because I think that would be a great piece, even to wear kind of as a light jacket this time of year. I think it would be really nice. So, kind of along the same lines, another sweater, when I was pulling this Lily sweater out of Caitlin's drawer, I came across her the little fledgling featherweight, which is a pattern by Hannah Fettig. Just a super cute, kind of basic cardigan. You know, this one, I knit it in Tosh Merino Light, which is a single ply, and it only took me less than a skein to knit one for her. This is the size 2. It's meant to be kind of a cropped sweater on a little kid, and because it's open, she's gotten a couple years worth of wear out of it, but I think it's about time to knit her another one. So this colorway, the color actually looks better back here. Unfortunately, it's not. There, that's a little better. It's kind of it's this pink, obviously a pink colorway, but it's kind of got some tones of a little bit of peach, maybe a little orangey in certain lights, and it's really pretty. The colorway is called Molly Ringwald, and I really love it. I mean, it's just the perfect. I knit this for her as a sweater to go with her Easter dress a couple years ago, and it was perfect. She's fair-skinned, has blonde hair, blue eyes, so it looks great on her. So I've been noticing, kind of along with this, obviously there's, this is the fledgling featherweight. There's an adult pattern called the featherweight, and again, Hannah Fettig is the designer of that, and I've been thinking about casting that on, although the pattern calls for a lace weight yarn, like with my daughter's sweater. Tosh Merino Light is a fingering weight yarn. It's knit on size 6 needles. It just worked up perfectly for that. There's a ton of projects out there, so if you're interested, get on Ravelry and check it out. I'll link my project page for that one below. So I've been thinking a lot about knitting one for myself. So I went into my stash and tried to find what I had that I would have enough of a fingering weight to do it. And I've got a lot of fingering weight yarn in my stash, but not enough of many colors to do a cardigan. So this is, I had 2 skeins of this. This is Zen Garden Serenity Silk Single, so it's another single ply. It's 75% Superwash Merino, 15% Cashmere, and 10% silk. The colorway is Black Moose, and so I have 2 skeins of this, which would give me 860 yards. I think the pattern says of lace weight that I need 875 yards, I believe. But I definitely used less on Caitlin's size than I did than what it called for. So I think I could get by with this. And I just think, I don't wear a ton of brown, but I thought that it would be a real pretty kind of basic color. So this year, hopefully before the end of the year, I will cast that on. Hers went super fast. I know I was knitting a size 2, but on US 6 needles, it tends to go really fast. It's a very easy pattern, top down raglan. You know, it's kind of that mindless knit, especially when you get to the body. So there's that. I think I'll be casting it on at some point, but no promises. Just something I've been thinking about. Oh, I know. I meant to share this with when I was going through my sweater, but the Antros pattern by Shannon Cook, it has these buttonholes, and it's intended to have 3 buttons here. So I had purchased these really pretty green and black kind of marbled buttons to go here. And obviously I've never put them on. I really like to where it just kind of flops open. I think it's a really pretty neckline there. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn whether I should put them on there or not. Obviously it looks kind of silly with having 3 buttonholes here, but you don't really know when it's on. That I just haven't put the buttons on yet. So, you know, knitting that cracked pepper sweater that Alicia Plummer designed has kind of got me thinking about buttons. And so I went through some of the stuff that I had, and it reminded me of buttons that I had purchased. So those green ones for that sweater. I also purchased this really pretty glass button that's kind of pink and orange and yellow. I had bought this to put on Caitlin's featherweight cardigan, just to kind of, I was going to make an I-cord loop to kind of loop around it and keep it from maybe sliding off her shoulders, or, you know, I mean, kids play hard, so their garments don't always stay perfectly set where they're supposed to be. But, you know, if I'm going to knit her another one anyway, I never got around to using it, and I'll use it on something else, probably something for her, whether I even put it on a hat as kind of a design. But I thought that was a really cool button. And this dish that I have up in my, kind of where I keep my stash and stuff upstairs, I found these at Target, and I have 2 colors of them. One's gray and yellow, and this one's purple, and then the sides are blue. But I thought they looked like knitting here, so I thought that was kind of cool, something to keep little stitch markers or buttons or whatever in a pretty dish. I thought was fun. So that came from Target, like a lot of things in my house. So, you know, I mean, knitting on that sweater, that's mainly what I'm going to be doing. Making that bag back there kind of got me on the fabric knitting bug, or fabric shopping bug. So I found some really cute fabrics online. So I don't know, so we'll see, but definitely knitting on that sweater is what I'll be working on pretty hot and heavy to get that one finished in the next couple weeks. So you know what, I'm trying to think. So I mentioned pumpkin patch, which is something that we have coming up. You know, other than that, it's just kind of a standard week around here. So, you know, hopefully you can get some inspiration from what I shared today, from what I share on Instagram. I'm SeaJaneKnits at Instagram, so definitely go there and check out things that I've posted. I'm trying to think. I know there was something else I wanted to share, but I can't think of it right now. So until next time, have a fantastic week, and hopefully you got some knitting in and just some relaxation time while you watch the podcast today. And I hope that by the next podcast that I can get that sweater done, because I would love to be wearing it right now. It's just perfect for the weather that we have. So until next time, happy knitting.